The Harvest Queen. The air hung heavy with the cloying sweetness of wrought and burnt sugar. It was Halloween in Hollow Creek, a night when the veil thins and the town celebrates its macabre harvest festival. Samantha, crowned with a twisted wreath of autumn leaves, felt a chill snake down her spine, far colder than the crisp October breeze. The Harvest Queen, they called her, a hollow title she'd initially accepted with a nervous laugh. Now, however, that laughter felt as brittle as the dead leaves crunching beneath her feet. "It's just a tradition," Mayor Evans had reassured her with a smile as yellow as the dying cornfields. "An honor." But Samantha had noticed the way his gaze lingered, not on her face, but on the crown. A twisted mockery of nature's bounty, fashioned from thorns and blackened berries. As twilight bled into darkness, the festival reached its fever pitch. Ghoulish figures danced around bonfires, their laughter echoing through the skeletal trees. But Samantha couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Eyes unseen followed her every move. A rustling in the bushes, a whisper on the wind, whispers that sounded suspiciously like her name. Old Mrs. Blackwood, the town's resident eccentric, cornered her near the scarecrow display, her breath reeking of peppermint and something more sinister. "Beware the harvest moon, child," she croaked, her gnarled fingers digging into Samantha's arm. "The queen is always chosen, always taken." Her words struck Samantha like a physical blow. Taken? By what? And then the clock struck midnight. A hush fell over the crowd. The bonfire flames dwindled, casting long, ominous shadows. A figure emerged from the darkness, tall and skeletal, draped in a shroud of mist. The creature's face was hidden, but its eyes, twin pits of glowing red, fixed on Samantha. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. "The Harvest Lord," someone whispered. Samantha felt the blood drain from her face. She was the sacrifice, the offering. The crown was not an honor, it was a death sentence. And she had only hours until dawn to find a way to break this curse, this endless cycle of terror. Or become another forgotten harvest queen, swallowed by the darkness. Terror turned to a cold resolve. Samantha wouldn't go quietly. Fleeing the festival, she sought refuge in the town library, its shelves lined with dusty tomes and forgotten secrets. She had hours until dawn, hours to unravel the mystery of the Harvest Lord and the twisted tradition that bound her town. The librarian, a bespectacled woman with a perpetual frown, eyed her with suspicion. "The library's closed," she said, her voice a dry rasp. "Go home, child. It's not safe tonight." "I need to know," Samantha pleaded, her voice trembling. "About the Harvest Queen, the sacrifice." The woman hesitated, then, with a resigned sigh, led her to a hidden alcove. There, tucked away in a leather-bound volume, was the town's dark history. Hollow Creek was built on a pact, a bargain struck with an ancient entity in exchange for prosperity. The price? The Harvest Queen, a maiden offered every Halloween, ensuring the town's continued good fortune. Samantha's stomach churned. The book detailed the gruesome fate of the queens, their bodies never found, their spirits forever trapped. But within the grim narrative, she found a glimmer of hope. The pact could be broken, the entity banished, but only by someone bearing the harvest crown. Dawn approached, painting the sky with streaks of blood red. Samantha emerged from the library, armed with knowledge and a newfound determination. She would confront the Harvest Lord, challenge its claim. But first, she needed help. Racing through the deserted streets, she sought out old Mrs. Blackwood. The woman was waiting, as if she knew Samantha would come. "You've seen it," she said, her voice a raspy whisper. "The truth." Samantha nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. Mrs. Blackwood revealed a hidden compartment in her cane, revealing a vial filled with a shimmering liquid. "This," she said, "is the only weapon against the Harvest Lord, but be warned, it is a dangerous game you play." With the vial clutched tightly in her hand, Samantha returned to the festival grounds. The Harvest Lord was there, waiting, its red eyes burning with an unholy hunger. The final confrontation was at hand. The festival grounds were eerily silent. The remnants of the celebration, overturned tables, scattered masks, and dying embers, painted a scene of grotesque abandonment. The Harvest Lord stood at the center, a skeletal silhouette against the rising sun. A chilling anticipation hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Samantha approached, her footsteps echoing in the unnatural quiet. The creature turned, its red eyes locking onto her, burning with a malevolent hunger. She felt a wave of dread wash over her, threatening to paralyze her with fear. But she held her ground, the vial of shimmering liquid clutched tightly in her hand. "You cannot escape!" the Harvest Lord hissed, its voice a chilling rasp that seemed to emanate from the depths of the earth. "The pact is sealed, the sacrifice will be made." "Not this time," Samantha retorted, her voice surprisingly steady. "I know the truth. I know the price you demand." The creature let out a guttural laugh, sending shivers down her spine. "You are a mere mortal, a plaything. You cannot defy me." With a swift movement, Samantha uncorked the vial and hurled its contents at the Harvest Lord. The liquid, shimmering like moonlight, struck the creature's chest, sizzling and smoking. A shriek, a sound that defied description, tore through the morning air. The Harvest Lord writhed, its skeletal form contorting in agony. Samantha watched, her heart pounding in her chest. The creature's power was waning, its grip on Hollow Creek weakening. But the battle was far from over. The Harvest Lord lunged, its skeletal fingers reaching for her. Samantha dodged, the crown on her head slipping. She stumbled, falling to the ground. The creature loomed over her, its red eyes blazing with fury. Just when all hope seemed lost, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was the librarian, her frown replaced by a grim determination. She brandished an ancient-looking dagger, its blade gleaming in the morning light. "Leave her be," she commanded, her voice echoing with an unexpected power. The Harvest Lord turned, its attention drawn to the new threat. Samantha scrambled to her feet, retrieving the fallen crown. The librarian and the creature engaged in a fierce struggle, their movements a blur of shadows and steel. But the librarian was no match for the Harvest Lord's supernatural strength. She was thrown aside, the dagger clattering to the ground. Samantha knew what she had to do. With a surge of adrenaline, she grabbed the dagger and charged towards the creature. The Harvest Lord turned, its red eyes widening in surprise. The Harvest Queen, Part 4. The Harvest Lord roared, its skeletal form towering over Samantha. It lunged, its claws outstretched, but she was faster. With a desperate cry, she plunged the dagger into the creature's chest, right where the shimmering liquid had burned its mark. A blinding flash of light erupted, followed by an ear-splitting scream that echoed through the deserted town. Samantha shielded her eyes, her ears ringing. When she looked again, the Harvest Lord was gone, replaced by a swirling vortex of darkness, crackling with energy. The ground beneath her feet trembled, the air grew heavy with an otherworldly pressure. The vortex pulsed, threatening to consume everything in its path. Samantha knew she had to act quickly. Remembering the ancient book, she placed the twisted crown back on her head. A surge of power coursed through her, a connection to something ancient and primal. She raised her arms, channeling the energy of the crown, and spoke words she didn't understand, words that seemed to echo from the depths of time. The vortex shuddered, its darkness swirling faster. Samantha felt a pull, a tugging sensation, as if the entity was fighting back, desperate to maintain its grip on Hollow Creek. But she held firm, her voice growing stronger, her resolve unwavering. With a final defiant cry, she thrust her hands towards the vortex. A blinding beam of light shot forth, striking the darkness at its core. The vortex let out a final agonizing wail before imploding, vanishing into nothingness. Silence descended upon the festival grounds. The only sound was the librarian's ragged breathing and Samantha's own pounding heart. The sun, now fully risen, cast a warm glow over the scene, dispelling the lingering shadows of the night. Samantha removed the crown, feeling its power recede. She looked at the librarian, her eyes filled with gratitude. The woman offered a weak smile. "You did it," she said, her voice hoarse. "You broke the curse." Samantha nodded, her heart swelling with a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Hollow Creek was free. The Harvest Lord was banished. The endless cycle of sacrifice was finally over. Or so she thought. The town of Hollow Creek awoke to a new dawn, a dawn free from the shadow of the Harvest Lord. The townspeople, initially hesitant, slowly emerged from their homes, their faces etched with a mixture of disbelief and cautious optimism. Samantha, hailed as a hero, basked in the warmth of their gratitude. The festival grounds were cleared, the remnants of the night's events erased. Life returned to its familiar rhythm, but a subtle change lingered in the air. The cloying sweetness of rot was gone, replaced by the crisp scent of autumn leaves and the promise of a fresh start. Samantha, however, couldn't shake off a lingering unease. The memory of the Harvest Lord's red eyes, its chilling laughter, haunted her dreams. She found herself glancing over her shoulder, expecting to see the skeletal figure lurking in the shadows. One evening, as she walked home from the library, a cold wind swept through the streets, carrying with it a familiar whisper. Her name. Samantha froze, her heart pounding in her chest. She turned, but there was no one there. Just the empty street, bathed in the eerie glow of the harvest moon. That night, she dreamt of the crown. It lay on a bed of blackened leaves, its thorns glistening with an unnatural light. A voice, a chilling echo of the Harvest Lord, whispered in her ear. "The pact is broken, but the debt remains unpaid. The harvest demands its due." Samantha woke with a start, her body drenched in sweat. The dream felt too real, too ominous. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The next day, the townspeople began to fall ill. A strange sickness swept through Hollow Creek, leaving its victims weak and feverish. The doctors were baffled, unable to diagnose the cause or offer a cure. Samantha visited the sick, her heart heavy with worry. She noticed a peculiar pattern. Those who had participated in the festival, who had danced around the bonfires and reveled in the macabre celebration, were the ones most affected. A chilling realization dawned on her. The Harvest Lord was gone, but its influence lingered. The town's prosperity had come at a cost, a debt that still needed to be paid. And now the harvest was coming to collect. Fear gripped Hollow Creek as the sickness spread, its tendrils reaching into every home. Samantha, burdened by guilt and a desperate need to find a solution, returned to the library, seeking answers in the ancient texts. Days turned into sleepless nights as she pored over dusty tomes and forgotten lore. The librarian, now pale and weak, assisted her, driven by a shared sense of responsibility. Finally, in a forgotten manuscript, they found a glimmer of hope. The pact with the Harvest Lord had indeed been broken, but the land itself was tainted, its soil poisoned by centuries of dark magic. The sickness was the land's way of reclaiming its balance, of purging the corruption that had festered for so long. The manuscript offered a solution, a ritual of purification. It required a sacrifice, not of blood, but of the very symbol of the harvest's bounty. The cornfields that had brought Hollow Creek its prosperity. Samantha knew what she had to do. With a heavy heart, she rallied the townspeople, their fear momentarily replaced by a flicker of hope. Together they set fire to the cornfields, the flames consuming the golden stalks, turning them to ash. It was a bittersweet sight, a sacrifice of their livelihood for the chance of survival. As the last embers died, a sense of peace settled over Hollow Creek. The sickness began to recede, its grip on the townspeople weakening. The harvest moon shone brightly that night, casting a silvery glow over the town. Samantha stood at the edge of the burnt fields, her heart filled with a quiet resolve. The Harvest Lord was gone, the curse broken, but the memory of its terror would forever linger. Hollow Creek would rebuild, its people scarred but resilient. The land would heal, its soil cleansed. And Samantha, the Harvest Queen who defied destiny, would forever be a symbol of their courage, a reminder that even in the darkest of nights, hope can bloom.